Welcome into NBA Now. I am Tom Downey, and we are discussing the top 25 NBA free agents before things get going on Monday. Already had some players decline options, pick up options. We'll break that down briefly here. We will be live for NBA free agency as well. We're going to have a ton of coverage for you, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Some notable recent moves. LeBron James opting in. Come back to that in a second. Naz Reid, David Mitchell, all getting the extensions as well. Big contract for Naz Reid, by the way. LeBron James opted in like a $52 million player option because who in their right mind would turn down $52 million? Also kind of did the LeBron thing of like, maybe I'll look to other teams. I want to win a championship. He's done it every year. I might not read too much into that. He's also hinted at like maybe this is his last year. He's going to be a true free agent next offseason. So will this upcoming year, which I think is with the Lakers, but door's been cracked open now, be LeBron's last year? Y for yes, N for no. Let's hit these top NBA free agents. Number one, then, with LeBron off the board, is James Harden. He's got a player option coming up this year. Decline it, pick it up, TBD, but expectation is he's back with the Clippers. He's certainly not what he was at his absolute best in his prime, but his game is, I think, actually aged relatively well. Not as hyper-efficient, but still a very good basketball player who should be back with the Clippers. The Timberwolves already got the deal done with Naz Reid. There is a Julius Randle player option. Oh, of note, 5 p.m. Eastern time today is the deadline to decline or pick up that player option. The Timberwolves, coming off one of their better years, not as good as what they wanted. There are still some moments that Randle drives me insane, but 18 points per game, 7 boards at just under 35%, that type of player is extremely valuable. All right, Myles Turner, the unrestricted free agent for the Indiana Pacers, continues to do and play at a pretty solid level. His numbers declined a little bit the past couple of years compared to say the 2022-2023 campaign, but he blocks shots. He can shoot a little bit. He can space the floor. He can run the rim. The Pacers, I'm sure, want to bring him back. I don't think the Tyrese Haliburton injury impacts things, but this is, I think, the best pure free agent. Let's go to one of the top restricted free agents, Jonathan Kuminga, the Warriors forward, who I kind of think once out of Golden State, they did do the qualifying option. A sign-in trade could certainly be in the cards. His play has improved the past 2 years after a bit of a slow start to his career. I don't know how much he always got along with Steve Kerr at times, with how the rotation operated there. The Heat have been heavily linked here. Keep an eye out for a sign-in trade for Jonathan Kuminga, or at least a team making a big-time offer sheet. Who do you think will be the best player to join a new team in NBA free agency? Maybe it's Kuminga, maybe it's somebody else. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Malik Beasley, number 5. But now there's a giant asterisk involved with this one. This breaking as we began to film. The U.S. Attorney's Office is investigating Malik Beasley on allegations of gambling on NBA games and prop bets, which just goes from being consensus top 5 to, oops, maybe not at all. So we'll leave him where he was, but he might actually be 55 and, 7. He might be way further down this list. Apparently, per Shams Charania, he and the Pistons were involved in a 3-year, $42 million deal. Talks now on pause. So he's 5 with the big old asterisks of he actually might not be on this list at all, depending on how that investigation plays out. So TBD on the Malik Beasley status. Let's go to Josh Giddey, the Chicago Bulls guard, who I think had a very productive season this past year for the Bulls following the trade. Chicago picked him up. Restricted free agent. Would be really weird if the Bulls didn't find a way to retain him, given what the trade did work out actually pretty decently for them. Speaking of a trade that worked out pretty well, how about Quentin Grimes after the Mavs gave him up for not that much on a Sixers team that wasn't that great? And I acknowledge it was only 28 games he played with the Sixers, essentially under 30, but he went nuclear. Essentially 22 points per game, basically doubled all of his production on just more volume, essentially. Grimes, tough to see the the Sixers losing him, but there's going to be a big-time market coming his way. The Sixers are kind of in a weird spot with as bad as they were this past season. How about someone who boosted their stock down the stretch this season? Let's go to Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets. Again, he's a bucket getter. And given where the Nets are at in their kind of retooling, rebuilding, reloading, I don't know if you could say reloading. They've never actually been quite as good as they've wanted to be. 24 points a game, that is incredibly, incredibly valuable. Let's go to another unrestricted free agent. That is Ty Jerome. I do think that the Cavs trade for Lonzo Ball indicates this is probably the end of the line for Ty Jerome, and he will end up going somewhere else this upcoming offseason. The Jazz have been linked to Ty Jerome, which is kind of funny, if we're being honest. He's kind of bounced around and had a massive season this past year, 12 and a half points per game. Nickeil Alexander-Walker of the Timberwolves, also an unrestricted free agent, and it sounds like the Pistons might be involved in this one, which could help potentially offset I'll call it the uncertainty right now involving Malik Beasley. Shown some flashes. He kind of bounced around a little bit, Pelicans, Jazz, and kind of settled into a good two-way role player in Minnesota. Let's go to the Grizzlies now. Santi Aldama, I think maybe underrated player. I don't think a household name relative to, I think, the level of performance. So, I mean, he's a restricted free agent, power forward. Still can be a little streaky as a three-point shooter, but I think you've seen growth over the course of his career, and I think that's a quality player. Let's go to a veteran now, Brook Lopez, who I feel like we do this every single year. Maybe not every year, but close to it, of like, someone needs a big man, and maybe Brook Lopez could be that guy, or one of the Lopez. You won't go way back to the Robin Lopez era. Still playing pretty well. Even though he's older, and we've seen like big men once they hit a certain age, completely fall off. That has not been the case with Brook Lopez. His game has aged incredibly well. There will be plenty of teams in the market for him, including but not limited to the Lakers, I am sure. NBA 4th of July gear is available. I think the hats are sweet. I think the fireworks of the hats look incredibly awesome. There's T-shirts, cutoffs if you want to go that route as well. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's chatsports.com/4thNBA. Clickable link over there in the corner as well. Hats, some T-shirts, all themed for the 4th of July. Bobby Portis, another Bucks player on this list. Again, got till 5 p.m. to make his decision on that front. I think another player whose game has actually aged pretty well because he can do some post-up stuff. He's got some good spot-up shooting. The rebounding has remained effective. I don't know if you want him being like a true starter, but as one of your top bench options, I think Portis is extremely reliable and extremely efficient. All right, Dorian Finney-Smith of the Lakers, who's also kind of bounced around in recent years, has, by the way, officially declined his $15.4 million player option. It was better statistically with the Nets. Also worth mentioning that his usage was a little bit different in Brooklyn than it was with L.A. A Lakers unit is still possible for DFS, but as a two-way forward, he's going to have plenty of interest. Number 15, Tyus Jones with the Suns. I feel like there's a decent chance he leaves. The Suns are kind of weird. Like, they've got a bunch of two guards and not a bunch of point guards in the same way Tyus Jones is there. But he did fine, I thought, with the Suns. He's not – the defense is always going to be an issue, which might limit what market he ends up getting out there. But the point guard market availability in general is not exactly the strongest this year. Then again, it's NBA free agency. Most of it comes via trades, right? All right, Al Horford is next up on this list. Again, another player who, despite the age, continues to be productive. And with Boston kind of entering a not as aggressive season with Jason Tatum coming off the injury, patience could certainly be an option. And he ends up pursuing a different path this upcoming offseason. I want you guys to name a free agent you want your team to sign. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Let's go to D'Angelo Russell. The, what's the nicest way of putting this? Inconsistent? often frustrating. I don't know how to describe it. It's D'Lo. It's who he is. Like, there's going to be nights he can drop 35, and nights he might drop 5. It's just that's how he is as a player. He remains incredibly streaky and incredibly inconsistent. He was not great with the Nets. I think his value is very much low. The Mavs, though, could use a point guard until Kyrie Irving comes back. They could be in play for Russell, or could be in play for Chris Paul. And you know what? I'll give CP3 credit. He continues to cash them checks. The level of play he was at his prime is not what it was. But I think being able to play every game this season at his age was really impressive, and also might be an outlier season. Like, I don't think you can realistically expect Chris Paul, as he enters his age 40 season, to play 82 games again this year. But he can still be a solid passer, and if you want that veteran presence, there's value. Number 19, Bruce Brown on the list here. Maybe not as valued as he was at his absolute peak. Remember that a couple years ago when everyone wanted to get Bruce Brown, and then the Raptors ended up shipping him off to the Pelicans. I thought he was, and the numbers bear this out too, better shooting. Looked more like his old self to an extent with the Pelicans down the stretch this year. Speaking of shooting, it's Luke Kennard. Like, you know where you're going to get him. He's going to get you 8 to 12 points over the course of a season, and he can shoot. And this is one of the better three-point shooters, actually coming off one of his lesser seasons from deep. Only 43.3% from deep, which is what a lot of guys would kill for. Number 21, speaking of inconsistencies, Russell Westbrook. I am very curious what his market ends up looking like. He did a bit more of an off-ball role and did improve his three-point shooting, but he's still a chucker, and he's still not going to be an efficient player. The energy as, I think, a backup guard off the bench, I think, does have some value, and he'll rebound. He'll do some solid defense stuff, but he can't be a spot-up shooter, and you probably want to try to limit himself at times. So to Caris LeVert with the Hawks. I'm very curious what the Hawks offseason ends up looking like here. Still a little inconsistent shooting, and even kind of regressed as a shooter, at least from deep on an efficiency standpoint, from the Cavs to the Hawks after his trade. But again, as a bucket getter off the bench, I think there is value. Kelly Oubre Jr. I feel like we talk about him almost every single season in some capacity. He's a free agent. Had that really impactful run with the Hornets back in the 2022-2023 campaign. He's got a player option, by the way, to decide on there. I would assume he declines it and tries to cash in elsewhere. As a fifth or sixth best player on your roster, I think there's a lot of value there. But there's not enough fifth or sixth options out there. You might end up being a 3 or a 4 for somebody. Clint Capella, number 24, narrowly made the list over Luke Cornett. I think will also draw some interest as a free agent big man. Again, the play is kind of declined here, but he can do the pick and roll, can do shot blocking, can do some rim running. Teams are always looking for big men to give them 10 to 20 minutes max. I think Capella can still do that. Last player, Gary Trent Jr., the Bucks. He can still shoot. He is still a shooter from deep, shot almost 42% from deep this past year. That role player, which at that point, at his age, at his value, at his free agency price tag, that's going to command some interest. Several Bucks players on this list, by the way, is worth mentioning. That is it for today's show. If you made it to the end, thank you. Type me in the comments section so we can show you some love.